Hi everyone, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today we're going to create some foiled fall leaves cards with the November 2022 card kit called Full of Thanks. Included in the kit this month are some Grateful Fall Leaves adhesive transfers and then some Deco Foil Autumnal Mix foil sheets. So I decided to create two cards. I figured while I had everything out, why not? There's two sheets of the adhesive transfers in the kit and they are going to make both cards. Also from the kit, you get some lipstick red and orange peel cardstock, which you can see here that I've trimmed to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and I'm going to use those for the backgrounds on my cards. I really wanted to see what it would look like to foil on a colorful cardstock. Now I did stamp the background of both panels with the Simon Says Stamp Good Reading background stamp and Pawsitively saturated ink in the color Cappuccino. This is just to give a little bit of a text background to my card, which I love. You can see on the back of the adhesive transfer sheet, there are very good instructions. So what you're going to want to do if you've never done this before is to kind of figure out first for me where I want my leaves to go. And then you want to cut the transfer that you're going to use from the sheet. And I just kind of cut mine close. I'm using the scissors also from your kit. These are the Simon Says Stamp fine detail scissors, and peel off that backing paper. Then you want to position your leaf or leaves where they go and just kind of press it in place. There are a couple of options for applying the transfer to your card. However, I found that because I have a MICA or a foiling machine, another kind of laminator would also work. But because I have a MICA, I decided that would probably be the best for this. I believe that there are 3 colors of foil included in the kit. There's multiple sheets of the foil, but 3 different colors. And because of that, I'm going to use 6 leaves per card, 2 leaves per color. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to start, and I started to cut multiple leaves, and then I thought, you know what? Let's do the exact same thing on both backgrounds at the same time. This is going to eliminate a little extra work. Now, it is a tiny bit time consuming because I chose to foil each shape individually. And I just feel like that works the best for me. So I had a little bit of something underneath that, and I didn't want it to stick or inhibit the transfer at all. Once I have my 2 leaf transfers where I want them to go, I'm going to kind of move or clean up, my work surface, and we are going to get my MICA out. I wish I had the smaller one to show you here on camera, but I have the big guy, and this will accommodate a 12-inch sheet of paper. So I am going to zoom out just a tiny bit, and we are going to foil. I found I did not have to have this very hot. In fact, I backed it off to 2. I don't know why I put it up to 3. That worked fine for me for what I was doing. 1 may have even worked, but we just went with 2, and I'm going to let my machine heat up, and then I'm going to take a carrier sheet, and I'm going to use the half sheet carrier sheet because that will accommodate these 2 pieces, and I'm going to run them through my foiling machine. Now, you will see me in this have to use something, actually a metal palette knife works the best. My machine, for whatever reason, tends to get caught. Sometimes the carrier sheet gets caught, and so I kind of have to put something back there. You probably don't. I just don't want you to be confused about what I might be doing. But I'm going to run this through. This is applying the transfer to your project, and I am doing 2 at once. I'm going to do a couple of these sped up just a tiny bit, and then we are going to speed it up quite a bit because it's a lot of repetition. I use some sharp, pointy tweezers to peel off my transfers, and you can really see the transfer there. I'm going to hold it up a little closer to the camera. And then these are the foil sheets you get in the kit. And I am simply going to kind of cut one in half with my scissors and then maybe cut it into thirds and lay that right over the transfer. We're going to do the same thing for the second card panel. Then I'm going to place them in the carrier sheet and run them through my machine again. I thought I could kind of fix it with my finger, but not. If you tend to have that same problem, back it up immediately. I accidentally hit the wrong button. I think I went to 3. But I backed it up and I'm going to run it through again. I tried to use my tweezers first. They don't work good. I'm telling you, a palette knife works good. I had to back mine out a couple times. And I think it's just my machine. We're running it through. It's kind of like watching paint dry, but the results are amazing. I really, really love these adhesive transfers. It's fun seeing a different kind of product in this Simon Says Stamp card kit. Again, I'm going to use my little precision tweezers to peel the foil off, and look at that. Honestly, that's beautiful. I think a big die cut sentiment underneath one leaf like that would be absolutely gorgeous. But we're going to go complete extra and add lots. So I'm going to add another leaf to both, and we're going to continue to run this through our machine. Now, as I mentioned, this is going to be a lot of repetition, and I am going to speed the video up a lot until we get to the sentiment portion, which we are also going to foil. All of the steps I showed you to begin with are going to be repeated throughout, meaning I'm going to cut apart the adhesive transfer. I'm going to place it where I want it to go on my card background. I'm going to run it through my ink laminator. I'm going to peel off that transfer, place a piece of foil over the top, and then run it through the ink again. And that is going to be repeated for each and every one. And this is why I sped it up, because it is a lot. Even though I'm doing 2 at one time, I am doing each step 6 times. And then we will do the sentiments. There are other products that you can use with the adhesive transfers. The back of the package does give you some additional ideas. If you don't have a laminator, you can use a die cutting machine to apply the foil. I have not tried that, but I would love to see some samples if you have. My plan for my card is to create an upper and lower leaf border, and then where they kind of overlap, they are going to be combined, or not combined, it's going to be hidden with a sentiment strip. So I'm not too worried that if it looks a little junky there where the two meet up. I'm going to use a tone on tone, so I'm going to use some more of the lipstick red and orange peel cardstocks for my sentiment. We only have a couple of leaves left to finish, and then we will work on those sentiments. And there is the choices to use grateful or thankful. I did choose thankful just because the font I thought would fit my design a little bit better. And then the phrase for you. And I'm going to foil those one on top of another. And there I got smart and I was able to foil 4 leaves here at once. Oh my goodness, look how pretty those are. So this is the leftover cardstock, and I think it's not going to fit to do this in the portrait style. So what I'm going to do instead is foil my sentiment the landscape way, and then I can trim it down. My whole goal here was to just make it fit. I kept trying to make the portraits fit, but then I thought, just to give me a little more play, let's do it landscape, and that way I don't have to worry that it may not line up or be centered correctly, and I can instead fix that when I go to apply it to the card. I wanted to try to foil the whole phrase at one time, but then I didn't think it would maybe you know, foil correctly. And so I went ahead and took the extra time to adhere the transfer of the word thankful first, and then I will do the phrase for you second. So kind of like the leaves where I had to do it multiple times, but I really do think that just that extra little step ensures that nothing kind of goes wonky. I am going to foil the upper and lower lines of text for this greeting in different colors of foil, and I really kind of just went with whatever leftover foil I had from doing the leaves because this isn't a very big area. I just grabbed the leftover and placed it on top. You don't need a lot. I kind of cut it into thin little strips. And it's a great way to use up little leftover scraps of foil, especially colors that coordinate back with the leaves. And we will continue to do this until the sentiments are all foiled. And again, I'm going to speed up the video a lot to do the second part of this. We're applying the adhesive transfer to our cardstock. We're pulling off the backing or the front part of the paper. We already pulled off the backing, and then we are going to go ahead and run it through with our foil. Then I'm going to take the Simon Says Stamp Sentiment Labels dies and die cut those into strips. Around the edge of my panel, I took some MOCHA Pawsitively saturated ink and applied that around the perimeter to grunge up my background. I decided to kind of really grunge this out. I've really been loving that look lately, and I'm even going to apply some mica stains in Harvest Moon and Burning Ember. Now, a word of caution, I had not thought of this before, and the mica stain doesn't dry super great on the foiling. I think if I had to do it over, I probably would have left that off, although I absolutely love the finished result. But I just wanted to warn you of that before you do it and find that maybe that doesn't work. Now, I did take a dry rag and I wiped any ink that might be on the foiling off. And my mica stain did eventually dry. I let it sit overnight, and even at that, it was still slightly tacky, and I ended up taking a heat tool to it and getting it to dry. But I wanted you to be aware that it isn't the best, in my opinion, effect. Or not effect, but it probably didn't work the best with the foiling, even though it worked out in the end. Sometimes things are happy accidents, and sometimes things are like, well, that might not have been the best, but the results are amazing. And that was one of those. Next, I'm going to take some MOCHA and just grunge up the edges of my sentiment strips a bit. Because our backgrounds are so grungy, I decided I wanted these to have a little bit of inking as well, and it just kind of gives them a bit of a more moody feel. I'm going to wipe any ink that might be on the foiling off, and because we left these long, we're going to be able to place these right where we want them to go, get them centered exactly using some Simon Says Stamp foam adhesive, and then trim off the excess. Our backgrounds take up the entire A2 size of a card base, and it is super beautiful. I really, really do love it. To me, it just gives those great fall vibes. Now, it would be just as beautiful without the mica stain. It would just be maybe a little bit more of a cleaner look. And I kept not getting that guy straight. So we're going to use the grids on our mat, and this is the Altenew Self-Healing mat, to line that up and then trim off the excess. With the extra space on both ends of the sentiment label, I am going to glue down some pretty Pink Posh gold metallic pearls to finish the design. Thank you so much for joining me today for these 2 fall-themed cards using the Simon Says Stamp November 2022 card kit called Full of Thanks. The supplies are listed underneath the video for your convenience. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hi there. there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.